Hello everyone, my name is Kiet and today I will be giving out the answer for question 1, chapter 25. 1. In most countries, including the United States, import substantial amounts of goods and services from other countries, yet a nation can enjoy a high standard of living only if it can produce a large quantity of goods and services itself. Can you reconcile these two facts? Uh, the fact that countries import many goods and services but must produce a large quantity of goods and services themselves to enjoy a high standard of living are reconciled by noting that there are substantial gains from trade. In order to be able to afford to purchase goods from other countries, an economy must generate income by producing many goods and services, then trading them for goods and services produced in other countries. A nation can maximize its standard of living.
Question 2, Chapter 25. Suppose that society decided to reduce consumptions and increase investment. A. How would this change affect economic growth? When investment increases, the stock of capital raises, and thus each worker will be equipped with more machines, equipment, and tools. When each worker becomes more productive, total output will grow faster than before. B. What groups in society would benefit from this change? What groups may be hurt? The change would benefit many people in society who would have high incomes as the result of faster economic growth. However, there might be a transition period in which workers and owners in consumption good industry would get lower incomes and workers and owners in investment goods industry would get higher income.
Hey guys, my name is Huang, and today I will be doing question number 1 of chapter 26. So the question is about, for each of the following pairs, which bond you would expect to buy a higher interest rate? Explain. So first, a bond of the US government or a bond of the Eastern European government. A bond that repays the principal in year 2020 or a bond that repays the principal in year 2040. A bond from Coca-Cola or a bond from a software company in your run in your garage. A bond issued by the New York State or a bond issued by the federal government. So my answer is that I would choose the bond of an Eastern European government and a bond that replaces the principal in year 2014, a bond from a software company you run in your garage, and a bond issued by the federal government. So my explanation is that about term, so long-term bonds are riskier than short-term bonds because holders of long-term bonds have to wait longer for repayment of principal, and long-term bonds usually pay higher interest rates than short-term bonds. And second, about the credit risk. So when bond buyers notice that the probability of default is high, they demand a higher interest rate as a compensation for this risk. And U.S. government bonds tend to pay low interest rate. But on the other hand, junk bonds are very high interest rate issued by the financially shaky corporations. And finally, about the tax treatment. So when state and local governments issue a bond, the bond's owner are not required to pay federal income tax on the interest income. So because of this tax advantage, bonds issued by the state and local government typically pay a lower interest rate than bonds issued by the corporation or the federal government.
Hi everyone, I'm Dingdak. I'm gonna give you the answer of question 3, chapters 26. Explain the difference between saving and investing as defined by a macroeconomist. Which of the following situations represents investment and represents saving? Explain. Here's the answer. To a macroeconomist, saving occurs when a person's incomes exceeds his consumption, while investment occurs when a person or firm purchases a new capital. A. When your family takes out a mortgage and buy a new house. That is investment because it is a purchase of new capital. B. When you use your $200 paycheck to buy a stock in AT&T, that is saving because your income of $200 is not being spent on consumption goods. C. When your roommate earns $100 and deposit it in his account at a bank, that is saving because the money is not spent on consumption of goods. D. When you borrow $1,000 from a bank to buy a car to use in your pizza delivery business, that is investment because the car is a capital good. Thank you for listening.
Question number 1, to calculate the adult population, we just need to add the number of employed people with the employed people and those who were not in labor force. So we got the answer is 235,654,000. And the labor force we just need to add the number of employed people and the number of unemployed people. To calculate the labor force participation rate, we use the labor force divided by the adult population, then we sum it with 100, then we got 65.7%. And to the unemployment rate, you just need to use the number of unemployed people divided by the labor force and multiplied by 100, we got 9.5%.
Hi, my name is Như and today I'm gonna answer the question number 2 in chapter 28 about explain whether each of the following events increases, decreases, or has no effect on the unemployment rate and the labor participation rate. So A, after a long search, John finds a job. So when John finds a job after a long search, the unemployment rate decreases and there is no effect on the labor forces participation rate because John was and continues to be part of the labor force and the adult population. Tyrion, a full-time college student, graduates and is immediately employed. So when Tyrion graduates and is immediately employed, the unemployment rate decreases because the labor force increases, and the labor force participation rate increases because Tyrion was part of the adult population and is now part of the labor force. After an unsuccessful job search, Arya gives up looking and retires. So when Arya gives up looking for a job, the unemployment rate decreases because Arya is no longer considered unemployed and has left the labor force, and the labor force participation rate decreases. And Daenerys quits her job to become a stay-at-home mom. So when Daenerys quit her job to be a stay-at-home mom, the unemployment rate increases because the labor force decreases, and the labor force participation rate decreases because Daenerys is still part of the older population but is no longer part of the labor forces. Sansa has a birthday, becomes an adult but has no interest in working. So when Sansa becomes an adult but does not look for work, there's no effect on the unemployment rate. Labor force participation rate decreases because Sansa is now part of the adult population but is not part of labor force. Jaime has a birthday, become an adult, and starts looking for a job. So when Chami becomes an adult and begins looking for work, the unemployment rate increases and the labor force participation rate increases because the labor force and the adult population both increase by 1. Cersei dies while enjoying retirement. When Cersei dies while enjoying retirement, there is no effect on the unemployment rate. The labor force participation rate increases because the adult population decreases. Jorah dies while working long hours at the force. So when Jorah dies working long hours at the office, the unemployment rate increases because the labor force decreases, and the labor force participation rate decreases because the labor force and the adult population both decrease by 1.